Hey everyone, Mike Beasley here, creator of UpdateKit. I just wanted to run through two advanced implementation options that you guys are free to steal and use in your shortcuts. These came out of people basically asking me, does UpdateKit have to hit the server every time and check for an update? The short answer is no, it doesn't have to do that. If you use the basic implementation from the README file, then it will do that, but it doesn't have to. And so people asked, can we limit in UpdateKit how often it checks for updates? Can we, limit it to, not check so often, basically. And I thought about integrating some of these ideas directly into UpdateKit, and I ultimately decided not to. The reason for that is everybody's going to need something different out of how they limit their update checker. So some people might have a shortcut that people are going to run it once or twice a week. And in that case, it's fine to not limit at all. It's fine to check it every time. It's not going to be the end of the world. If you have something that people are hitting every few hours or a dozen times an hour, you're definitely going to want to limit that so that it's not pinging the server every single time, because that's going to affect the performance of your shortcut, and you don't want to do that. So to get around that, I've decided that the best option is to let people implement their own ideas for how this should be limited into their shortcuts. And because you're in control of when in your shortcut UpdateKit is called, you can do anything you want here, really. I'm going to show two ideas. There are probably more that I haven't really come up with. But this is the first one, is a random chance. Somebody specifically asked about this. So the first thing is you're going to want to use this only in very rare circumstances. I would not recommend using this. This is something that's too unpredictable. Let's say somebody is using your shortcut twice a week, and maybe both times they use it this week, they get an unlucky number. They get a very low random number. They're not going to get your update for that week, and maybe the next week and the next week after. So if you release a broken version, they're going to be stuck on the broken version because they keep getting these unlucky draws the 2 or 3 times that they're using your shortcut. Maybe they really need that bug fix that you pushed out, or they would benefit from that new feature that you put in there, but they can't get it because their update checker is not checking often enough. And so I don't recommend this. Like I said, unpredictable, but you can use it if you want. It's definitely a method of doing this. And so the first step is at the end of your shortcut, where you should always be calling UpdateKit, never the beginning, never the middle, always the end. You pick a random number. You can use any range you want. I use 1 to 100 because it's easy to calculate percentages. If you want to do this in 20% increments, you can go with 1 to 5. If you want to do a 75% chance, you can go 1 to 100. If you wanted to do some random, I don't know what chance, you could go, 1 to 26. And then you just say if the number drawn is greater than some other number, check for updates. And so in this case, I've given an 80% chance to fail and a 20% chance to succeed. And then when it succeeds on that 20% chance, it's going to check my list of shortcuts, see if it contains UpdateKit, meaning I have UpdateKit installed, define my dictionary, and then pass it to UpdateKit and run. And I'm going to hit run on this, 62, and there, it actually ran that time. It ran UpdateKit. So it didn't run the first time. It did not run the second time, or the third time rather. It ran that time. So it's hit or miss. I did this earlier, and I ran it 6 times in a row before it actually updated. So it's unpredictable, and it's not the most reliable. I would not use that method. You can use it if you want. Just beware. The second method is to check on a schedule. I'm going to show you guys how to do it daily, and then I'll update it to be weekly. You have to be very careful with this, because if that last method is bad because it's unpredictable and they might miss your update, in this you are definitely confirming that they're going to miss your update if you put it out within a certain period of time. So if you put out 2 updates in the same day and somebody downloads the first one, they're not going to get the next one until the next day or the next week, or however often you decide to let the shortcut check for updates. And so if you push out a broken version and you've got your updater set to a week, there is no override option. There is no way to say, oh, this is a required update, everybody get this update before that week is up. So that is definitely something to take into consideration when you're doing this, but I'm going to walk you through this and you can use your best judgment there. So again, we're at the end of the shortcut. The first thing we're going to do is define our dictionary for UpdateKit. The reason we want to do this is we're going to have to use those variables right off the bat before we get into any if statements or anything else. So you want to put that dictionary right up front. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to get a file from iCloud. Now I'm going to tell you right now, this is a little more complicated than the last one if you haven't figured it out already. In this case, this file is a JSON file, which does not exist at first. You don't have to like manually create it or have your user add it or whatever. We're going to add it later in this workflow. But right now, we just want to get that file and see what it contains, if anything. So I use the same trick I used in UpdateKit. In UpdateKit, I have a preferences file that gets saved into a folder named after your shortcut, wherever you've integrated UpdateKit. And I get that by you passing me your app name as a variable, or your shortcut name. I'm calling them apps now because they feel like little apps at this point. But in this case, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to use that variable I just mentioned from the dictionary. I'm going to get the shortcut name, and then I'm going to save a file called updatehistory.txt. Don't call it preferences.txt because that will be the file that is used by UpdateKit to determine what skipped updates your user has. So if they skipped version 2.1 of your shortcut, that is stored in preferences.txt. Don't overwrite that file or it'll screw that up and then they're going to get all mad. But I would recommend calling it update history. You can call it whatever you want. You're going to be the only person looking in this file. So then we're going to get a dictionary value from it, and the key for that value is going to be last update. You can use a different key here. This is what I used. Again, you're going to be the only person checking this file, but just get the key. It's going to be the only key in there, and that's what I'm calling it. Now, you'll notice I didn't make a dictionary out of this file before getting the dictionary value, and that's because dictionaries basically are JSON. And because this file contains JSON, it can go ahead and pull a dictionary value out of it without actually having to convert it to a dictionary first. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to count the items in that dictionary. If there is one item in the dictionary value, then we will move on. And if there is not one item in that dictionary value, then we're going to do something different. The reason for that is if this file is empty or doesn't exist, it's going to error out if we don't do this. So we count up the items. We can see if it's one. If it's one, we just call that same dictionary value from above, and we just pass it on. If it does not exist, if there is not one value, we get the current date and we subtract a day. So we get yesterday's date. And the reason we do that will become apparent in 1 second here, but it's basically going to cause the updater to run. So we're going to go ahead and end that if statement there. And then we're going to get today's date, and then we're going to get the time between two dates. We're going to get it in days. Oops, I've already got this wrong here. Let me change that. That was from testing it earlier with the weekly. Now you know how that's going to work. Spoiler alert. We're going to get the days between these two dates, the current date and the if result being either the date from yesterday or the date from that dictionary, whichever one ended up being the result. And we're going to compare those. And if there is less than 1 day difference, we are going to bail on this entire process. You can see that there's an otherwise and there's nothing above it, and that's where we're going to exit the shortcut. You could put an exit shortcut action right there. I don't, because it causes this screen to close when it runs. And so I don't want to do that. I want to keep it open so that I can see the output. But you could put an exit there if you wanted, just to make it more clear. Now, if there is more than a day difference between these, or if there is 0 days difference between them, sorry, I said that backwards. If the time between these dates is less than 1, meaning it is 0, then nothing is going to happen. It's not going to run. That part was correct. If the date is 1 day or more, so equal to 1 day or more between the last update, which was that if result, that's the last day that it was updated, and today, then it is going to do the standard run. And you'll notice here, we get the variable UpdateKit dictionary. That's the dictionary defined at the beginning of this. rather than define it again, we just pull it in as a variable. And I'm going to uncheck show while running normally, but I'm going to have it open this time to make it more clear what's happening in this shortcut. So I'm going to have that open up and actually run when I run it here in a minute. And then after we run UpdateKit, there are additional steps we have to do. The first is we create a folder named after, this 3D touch is a little wonky sometimes, it's named after your shortcut. And this is the folder where that update history file is going to be stored. So we create that. If it already exists, the shortcut will actually just leave it alone. It's not going to create another copy of it. All right, and then we are going to get some text, and it's going to be JSON. The key is going to be last update or whatever it is you're looking for earlier in the workflow. And then the value for that is just going to be the current date. And I have set it to this format, ISO 8601, as you can see. I like that format. I don't know why. It's just, I really like it. I use it all the time. Even like at work and stuff, I use it. So I'm just very fond of it. And then once we've got that, we are going to save that file to, guess where? The folder named after our shortcut plus update history.txt. We are going to save that file. This is where that file gets created. So if it didn't already exist, the first time your updater runs, then that will exist. And in the future, you're not going to end up in a situation where it's getting, where is it at? Yesterday's date. That is only going to happen basically on the first run. And then every time after that, it's going to find an item in that file, and it's going to use that value instead, which is going to be today's date, the date of the last update installation. You'll want to have that set to overwrite if the file exists. Otherwise, it's just going to create a duplicate of the file with a different name, and then when you check it, it's not going to be there. It's not going to be accurate, and so that's not going to work for you. So what I'm going to do is, as you can see, I've got my iCloud folder open here on my desktop, and I'm actually going to run this one and show how it works like I did with the last one. So you can see UpdateKit is running because it has never run before. This is the first time it's ever run. And now you can see it's created the folder in iCloud, and there is the last update. Now if I run it again on my phone, you are going to see that it does not run UpdateKit. I can run it as many times as I want. It's not going to run. It's not random. It doesn't draw a number. It's just not going to run. Now I'm going to change this around, and I'm going to make it yesterday's date, as if I last updated yesterday, and I'm going to add something new into the mix on the shortcut side, which is a quick look. And the reason I'm adding this is so that we can see what date is actually in that file. Sometimes iCloud is very slow to update on my phone, and so I want to actually see what value is being passed into that dictionary. So we're going to try and run it now. Hopefully it's had enough time. And you can see, yeah, okay, it's got the correct date that I just saved into that file. So it should run the updater, and there it goes. It runs the updater, and then it will update this file in a second. There it goes. It just downloaded, and there you go. Now the update has today's date. And this can be done, as I said, for any number of days that you want to do. So if you just change this number to 7, now it's going to be once a week. So I'm going to change this date to yesterday again, hit save. And then I'm going to wait just a second, and hopefully it will actually work here. Let's see if I get, yeah, okay, yesterday's date shows up in the dictionary, but of course it should not run because that has been less than a week. So let's see what happens. It doesn't run. That number that shows up there, the 0 earlier, and now it's a 1, that is the difference between the two dates. So that is the number that caused it to fail because it was a 1. So what we're going to do now is we are going to set this to the 18th, or rather, let's actually go with the 19th first. The 19th is 6 days ago, just to show that there's no like off by 1 error here or anything like that. Hit done, and then you see it did not run because it was 6. And now let's set it to, oops, the 18th and hit save. Wait for it to upload. We'll give it a minute here on the phone to download that update in iCloud. And then we're going to hit run, and let's see. There we go. Done, and it should update, and it does. And then it is going to download the file onto my Mac. And there you go. It has now updated today, and it will not update again. There's the date. And there we go. Perfect. So I'm going to take that quick look out, and this is now ready to go. This will update every 7 days. And like I said, you really want to be careful with this. If you push out a broken update, somebody is going to be stuck with this broken update for 7 days if you do this. And there's no way to get around that unless they go and manually install a copy of your latest build. All right, so we're going to change this back to 1. Whoops. We're going to run it, and it's not going to do anything because, of course, 0 days. All right, because it last updated today. So that is how to do limited by a schedule update checking. I think that's probably more reliable than the random method with drawing a random number, but I'm still not in love with it. I think that there's a potential to cause problems with that. And you can actually change this. If you want it to be every 6 hours, I'll tell you, you can do this. You can change it to hours, and then you're going to want to, oops, that's the wrong thing. Or actually, yeah, that is the right thing. Sorry. You want to do that, but you'll also want to probably change this by 6 hours. There you go. And now you've got an update every 6 hours. Or you don't have to adjust this. What am I thinking? Sorry, guys. I haven't actually put any thought into how to do it by hours. So you probably want to format your time as something with the time, though, in your file. So right here, you would actually want to format it with the time. There you go. And then you got hours included, so you can do 6 hours. But that's another idea. I'm not going to share these workflows. If you want to do this, I've given pretty much the step-by-step. Sharing these workflows wouldn't do you a whole lot of good. There's not a way to like easily move these into your own shortcuts. You'd have to recreate them anyway. So now that you've seen how to do it, you can recreate these if you want to and implement those in your shortcut and have limited refreshes hitting your server. I hope that's useful to you guys. Like I said, there's probably other ways to do this that I haven't bothered thinking about or looking at. But if you guys have any other cool stuff, feel free to tweet me. You can tweet UpdateKit, twitter.com/UpdateKit. I created that account to share updates about it and also just to sit on the username. I don't know if I'll tweet very much from it, but I figured I better grab it just since it was available. Yeah, if you guys want to see any changes to UpdateKit, if you have some feature suggestions, you can tweet me at UpdateKit, or for a while I'll be in the Discord for the shortcut subreddit. I don't know how long I'll stay in there, probably at least a couple of days, but I may not live in there. But yeah, that's what I've got for you. If you have any questions about how to implement these that I haven't covered yet, feel free to ask me in any of those locations, Discord, Twitter, whatever, and I will do my best to help you out. I am not going to go over these steps one by one with you. I'm going to point you back to the video. I don't have the time to go over all of it again with everybody. But yeah, if you have questions, if you have ideas for stuff to put into UpdateKit, I'd be glad to hear them. I can't promise I'll implement all of them or any of them, but I will definitely listen and I will consider them for sure. Yeah, so thanks for watching, and keep making cool stuff.